Hello everyone and welcome to Victoria's Cantina, where today we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars The Last Jedi 12-inch Yoda action figure. And this is something that has just recently come out. I don't normally go for these 12-inch style figures, but when I learned that Yoda was going to be coming out and I was able to see some early photos of the figure, I knew that I had to have it in the collection. It just looked really, really good. So I have some very high hopes for this. Again, I don't normally buy these. I've only gotten a few of them and I've reviewed those ones. But Yoda being a classic trilogy character, of course, seems like it'll be a really cool addition to the collection. So it says Yoda was a legendary Jedi Master and stronger than most in his connection with the Force. Small in size, but wise and powerful, he trained Jedi for over 800 years. And there's actually some really nice artwork on the packaging, and I do appreciate that, of course. And I also really like the red and white look to the Last Jedi product packaging. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to get Yoda out of the packaging. When we come back, we'll take a closer look. Okay, so here is Yoda out of the packaging, and I have him stripped down for all intents and purposes. I don't have any of the accessories on him. I just want to get a look at him sans anything. So here he is, and I think that he actually looks really, really good. Very nice sculpt on the figure, very nice proportions. Looks pretty much in line with what we've come to know about Yoda from seeing the Star Wars films, particularly The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I love how they hunched him over like this. I mean, just like he was in the original trilogy. You know, very old Jedi Master roaming around on Dagobah. They really did a good job capturing the look of the puppet. Now, of course, paint operations are simplistic. You're not going to see a whole lot of detailed paint applications, as is par for the course for the 12-inch figures that they've been doing for the last several years now. I do imagine, though, that if you're a talented customizer, that with a little bit of paint work, you could really make this pop. It's a really nice starting point, great sculpt, and the paint that it does have looks quite good. Okay, so here's a close-up look at the figure, and again, the sculpt that they gave Master Yoda looks really nice. It looks really good for what they usually do with this 12-inch line, which is a very simplistic line, very simple style. They don't really go above and beyond. In this case, I think this looks really good. Is it the most detailed sculpt in the world? Absolutely not. But for the 12-inch value line, or whatever you want to call it, I think it's actually a little bit better than what we typically see. So I am pretty happy about that. And of course, the Yoda being an alien, it's not really that hard for them to do a better job than they tend to do with the human figures, especially in this 12-inch line. You can see that they did paint his hair white, just here and there. It's kind of scattered, and it looks pretty good for the most part. From the front, I do like that the front of the face looks a little bit more matte in terms of that green color, whereas at the top of the head and at the back of the head, you can kind of see it's a little bit more of a glossy type green, so that is kind of cool. A little bit of gloss inside the ears too, so I do like the way that turned out. Now the eyes actually look really nice. They are very nicely painted. The paint looks very clean on the figure, which is quite awesome, and I just like the details that they did manage to capture. You can see that the eyes are white, and then they have that sort of hazelish color, and then the black pupils, and then a little white dot for the eye gloss. And there's even a little detail right there on his chin. You can see a little bump, just like he had in the film. So again, very nice detail. Now the rest of the outfit is pretty nice. It is very simple, but you can see that it does have some nice texture work ingrained into the sculpt, and the brown underneath looks decent. Most of that detail is going to lie right here, though, in his Jedi robes. You can see his hands right there. There's not a whole lot going on. They didn't paint the nails differently or anything. It's all just kind of the same color, but it looks quite good. Down here, you can see that the legs are built into the sculpt, into the robe, and then there are his feet right there. At the bottom, you can see that's pretty solid. You can see some detail on the feet, which is kind of nice. You can see that fourth toe there at the back, and at the back of the figure, pretty much the same thing. Nice detailed sculpt for the robes, and then you can see the belt going around there. And I do like how they kind of bunched up the robes down here at the bottom. I think that's kind of cool. Pretty nice little details there. So as far as articulation goes, it's very simplistic. You're going to get a ball joint here at the head. It is a very stiff joint. You can get it to go side to side, up and down, barely. barely. You can swivel both of the shoulders just like this. You can swivel both of the hands right here at the wrists. It is a little hard to maneuver them because you do kind of get bumped into by the sleeves right here, but you can kind of get it. This one's a little bit easier on the right side actually. And here are the legs. Those do go up very little. That's really all you're going to get. Would have been nice if they went all the way, but then you would have seen this. So not necessarily a terrible thing either. If you do look here though, you can see that they just made it a solid piece. You can't see any detail on the inside like you can on the 3 3/4 inch 5 POA figures. So, it's sufficient for this specific 12-inch line. I'm pretty happy with it. And I do want to remark on how hefty the figure is. I mean, it's not super lightweight. I know that we like to make fun of these because of how cheap they tend to feel for this 12-inch line, but this one actually has a lot of heft. It feels very solid. It feels like it'd be a very durable toy for a kid, and that's pretty important. Okay, now for accessories, the very first thing that Yoda comes with, and he's wearing this in the box as you saw earlier, and that is this little necklace. I'm not quite sure what's in his little pouch here, but I do want to show you how nicely they sculpted it. I mean, it very much looks like rope going all the way around, and lots of nice sculpting details right here at the front, and the back looks pretty nice as well. It almost looks like dynamite, doesn't it? Then you get this really, really nice looking snake. And you also probably noticed that Yoda was wearing this inside the packaging, which I think is pretty cool. It makes it pop out, makes it stand out. And of course, this is a throwback to the vintage figure, which also came with a snake. And even the VOTC figure back in 2004 had the snake as well. It wasn't a great figure, but it did have the snake, which was kind of nice. So I'm really happy to see this snake here once again, especially in this 12-inch figure form. You can see that it's actually kind of big. I really like the sculpting on it. You can see that it has a lot of nice texture going on along its body, and it's painted in this sort of cream color along with those burnt orange stripes. And again, very nice texturing, very nice sculpting on the snake. Unfortunately, they didn't paint the eyes. You can see it does have eyes and actually looks really good, but that would have been cool if they would have painted it. Too bad they didn't. But nonetheless, it is really nice to have this. It's pretty solid feeling. It is very slightly pliable, as you can see, but that's about it. The snake is super easy to get on. All you kind of got to do is throw it around him, and presto, there you go. So Yoda also comes with this cane because, I mean, he kind of has to. That's what he has on Dagobah and in the prequels, but this is very specific to the Dagobah cane with the hook there at the top. And for what it is, it's nice. It's very simple. There's not a whole lot going on. It's basically just a brown cane, but definitely sufficient, and I think they did a good job with it. And finally, you also get Yoda's lightsaber. And this is the one accessory that he comes with that is specific to the prequels, even though the rest of the figure and the rest of the accessories are based quite clearly on the original trilogy. So that is interesting, but you know what? I'll take it. Any accessories they want to throw in here, I'm definitely happy to accept. Now, the lightsaber itself looks nice. You can see that the hilt looks pretty good. It's got a good sculpt to it. It looks a little bit large for the figure, but it's good looking. Black, silver paint, and it's got a nice, vibrant green blade. So I am very happy about that. And you can see that it does catch the light pretty nicely. And I have seen some photos online where some people were able to take it apart by removing this silver part. Basically, this whole piece comes out, it seems like, but I'm not able to get mine to budge. I don't want to break it, so I'm not going to push it. But it is interesting how some people seem to be able to get that to come off. But it's a very nice looking lightsaber, and again, very happy that Yoda comes with it. Now, as far as getting the lightsaber into his hand, you can see that the right hand is a little bit more closed than the left hand, or at least the way that the fingers are positioned here. You can see that they're kind of more in a clutching position, whereas the left one's a little bit more open. So it's easier to get it into his left hand, even though it's still quite difficult, just given how wide the lightsaber is. So the easiest thing is just to get him to grip it around the top there at the very neck of the lightsaber. And he looks pretty good like that. It's not ideal, but for the time being, I'm not going to be posing him with the lightsaber anyway. I'm just going to have him with the snake, the necklace, and the cane. Pure original trilogy Yoda. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Star Wars 12-inch Yoda from the Last Jedi line of 12-inch scale action figures. Overall, you guys, I am completely happy with the figure. I got mine for $10 on Amazon. I feel like it was worth absolutely every single penny. And I don't often feel that way about stuff. And I mean, considering that a 3¾ inch action figure is going to set you back $8, or a Yoda of this size and heft with all these accessories is going to set you back $10. I mean, that's a really awesome deal. Again, I feel like it's a little bit better than most things that Hasbro puts out in the 12-inch line. I think that it looks great. It's got a very nice sculpt to it. The paint is totally adequate, even though it's not the most detailed paint scheme. That's never the case with these 12-inch figures anyway. So like I said, if you're a customizer, you can probably really make those sculpted details pop. Articulation, it's very basic. You don't get a whole lot of movement from the figure, but as a shelf piece, I think it's going to be just fine. The accessories are where this figure really shines, because you get the necklace, you get the snake, which is my favorite accessory, you get the cane, and you get the lightsaber. I mean, they really didn't skimp on this figure. And I like it so much that I've gone ahead and ordered a second one because I really do like it, and I want one for my desk at work as well. So again, totally happy with this. It's just one of those little surprises you get now and then in Star Wars collecting, where it's something that you really didn't expect to love so much, but you end up really loving it. So I'm totally happy about that. If you're a fan of Yoda, if you're a fan of the original trilogy, if you're a fan of, just fun figures that offer bang for your buck at a very good price, I think you're going to love this. It's really quite awesome. Alright my friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If so, do give us a like, do subscribe, let me know your thoughts down below. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to the Cantina Chatter podcast on iTunes. And as always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.